Finally, in connection with EITI, but much more broadly in connection with revenue transparency and management, many of you are aware that legislation was introduced in the previous Congress, the Extractive Industry Transparency Disclosure Act, that would require the SEC to in turn require all companies listed on U.S. stock exchanges to publish their revenue payments to various governments and countries where they operate around the world. That legislation in similar form is likely to be reintroduced in this Congress. It's been a top priority of the Publish What You Pay Coalition, which has done a terrific job in coordinating support for the legislation, and we hope that the Obama administration will actively support the bill when it's introduced. Let me turn briefly to the Human Rights Watch recommendations, again to the U.S. government. These are distinct from, but at the same time perfectly consistent with and complementary to the EG Justice recommendations. First, that Congress should mandate that the Exim Bank and the Overseas Private Investment Corporation require extractive companies who receive funding or political risk insurance to show that they have effective policies and procedures to address security of human rights and to give those companies the capacity to monitor compliance with those standards. Second, that bilateral military assistance and training programs that involve security forces that also provide security to the companies operating in Equatorial Guinea should include components to ensure that funding is contingent on respect for human rights and accountability for violations when they provide such security. Next, that Congress should examine how to ensure private security contractors who may provide services to the government and also to extractive industries follow human rights standards. Next, the Congress should examine what steps can be taken to ensure that extractive companies adequately follow human rights standards. Congress should provide adequate resources and guidance to the State Department, Defense Department, and other relevant agencies to require them to raise human rights issues related to the provision of security with foreign governments and to address the conduct of companies operating abroad. Before I touch on the last two, I would just add as my own comment that ExxonMobil, Amerada Hess, and Marathon Oil, the three largest U.S. oil producers operating in Equatorial Guinea, are each participants in the Voluntary Principles on Security and Human Rights, which lays out comprehensive operational guidelines to address just this balance between security and human rights considerations in dealing with security forces on the ground in countries like Equatorial Guinea. Finally, Human Rights Watch recommendations include one to deny visas to officials from Equatorial Guinea credibly implicated in corruption, and as well as to identify assets held by those officials with the intent of seizing and repatriating them to a freely elected government. So that's the full package of recommendations between EG Justice and Human Rights Watch, and we believe that they together embody a comprehensive plan of action for the new administration, which we hope, with the encouragement of the Congress and with interested parties who care about governance, development, and human rights in Africa, particularly in connection with oil, we'll see the merit in supporting, and we look forward to progress working with the new administration along these lines.